Alright, I thought I'd kill three birds with one stone. So we're looking down at the new West Bar development. Now what I can't understand is why we're building this, because I think it's offices and apartments, etc. Got number one West Bar at the front. Then behind it we've got Soho Yard and Garden. But in a moment I'm going to show you Pennine 5, and most of Pennine 5 is empty. And my understanding is, I think we had 2,000 in it when it was HSBC's HQ, but they're talking about you can get 3,500 in Pennine 5, so they're building all this lot down here. And this is only probably 50% of the actual West Bar development. There's a lot more to come. Well, let's carry on up now to the West Bar roundabout. So you can start to see one corner of what's going to be a Dutch roundabout. It's going to be absolute mayhem here. This is the old Penistone Road that now goes round the ring road. That's taking you up to Snig Hill up there. But the whole Tenter Street area, the road narrowing and also the cycle lanes, etc., is costing 16.5 million quid with taxpayers' money. So we'll move a bit further up Tenter Street next, but I'll show you Pennine 5 as we're moving up and you'll get a picture. But what they're doing is actually making this more gridlock. The road used to be absolutely fine here, and now all they're doing is creating more pollution. So they're doing the exact opposite of what they say. So just here you can see loads of old tram lines rusted up. They've been dug out from down here. The reason for it is that where you see the Pennine 5, that used to be a massive tram shed. So before the 1960s we had a fantastic tram network in Sheffield. The super tram is absolutely useless. It doesn't serve the majority of Sheffield like the old 1960 super tram. Well, I call that the super tram from the 1960s. I call this one the useless tram. So let's go a bit further up Tenter Street and show you what's going off. So this is going to be duplicated on both sides. This area is going to have grey to green in. Then you've got a cycle path. And then you've got a footpath. So this is going to be exactly the same on the other side. But I keep repeating the mantra, it's a waste of money, 16.5 million quid. There was nothing wrong with what was here before, and all they're doing is they're creating more and more pollution by slowing cars down, dropping it down from 2 roads in either direction to 1. And it's going to be so much fun when they actually put the Dutch roundabout in. So this was the old West Bar police station. My granddad was chief inspector here when it opened, and he left in 1967. But all this area over here was actually prime industrial land, and what we should have been doing is investing in clean green energy. Well, not the rubbish green they're using, but in an energy source that provided cleaner manufacturing. So you've got Scotland Street up there. I don't have to tell people what happened on Scotland Street, do I? So I used to be able to drive through from the hole in the road to here, come up here and park here. My journey now to get up here is a total nightmare. They're just making it life harder and harder for car drivers. But all the right hand side were industrial land that could have been redeveloped. Now they've spent so much money on the banking industry in the 1980s and 90s with Big Bang. So they invested in the banking industry, but they weren't willing to invest, even say half of that in manufacturing, which would have brought us up to date. But British Steel, rather than where I work, was up to date. But it's just becoming more and more Orwellian up here, and you can see in the background Sytner Tower. So we got what was HSB Midland Bank's old HQ here. But it's totally unrecognisable around here now. So this is Silver Street Head, and like you used to be able to drive out of here, it's got a single, no, it's a cycle lane, isn't it? So you can't even drive out of here anymore. Got 3 tons up there. Like I said, they're claiming they can get 3,500 people in this new building, but it's hardly got anybody in it. It did have the job centre in at one bit. I know it's got some service in for people who can't speak English. What I can't understand is what they're doing in Britain if they can't speak English in the first place. Like I said, wouldn't you fill these units up before you start allowing planning permission for new units at West Bar, number 1 West Bar and Soho Yard and Gardens? So this is so Orwellian now. It's going to be 27 stories, so it might be at the height now. More student type flats. So I worked here for 15 years, so I know the area really well. I mean, I worked in the building at the left, and it didn't damage my health for 15 years, having cars passing. Anybody living in Sheffield will tend to be in the evenings anyway, where there's less pollution. But the cities are not for urbanisation. We don't want the woke agenda in Sheffield. It's just horrific. Now just here, this planning permission, I think for a 17-storey. I don't know if this is part of the Sytner Tower, but I think this is going to be another 17-storey development here. It never went above 2 or 3 stories at the maximum, this area of Sheffield. But you can see some sort of work going ahead there. Or that's old stuff, I don't know. There's some like concrete pillars. Let's see if I can see those better. Probably see it better there. I don't know if they're new concrete pillars or old ones from something that existed before. May have to take a look at that on a separate video. The Royal Oak pub was actually up there. That's gone a long time ago. It's all student flats. And you just look at the height of this thing, 27 stories. And I think there's 3 towers on this development. That's why I'm not sure if the 3rd tower's over here. There's one big tower of 27. And then 2 smaller ones. So like I say, I don't know if there's 3 over here and 1 over here on the development, or whether this is a new development. But let's just carry on a little bit more towards Broad Lane. And this had a great little roundabout. Absolutely no reason to change this junction at all. So they've took a roundabout in, and I don't know if it's just going to be a junction with no lights. But it don't make sense, none of it. It's like they're changing things for the absolute sheer sake of changing things. So that takes you up Broad Lane, Townend Street and Hawley Street. Now I think this one's been blocked off, so you can't drive up this one anymore. But you can drive up that one. They just changed stuff around for the sake of doing. There's no reason for doing this at all. I just want to show you the sheer height of this one. So I can see 26, I'm sure that's the top height now. But I could have sworn on the artist's impressions there was 3 towers on this bit here. So I'm not quite sure. I need to have another look at the artist's impressions. So that's just a quick update on the £16.5 million wasted on Tenter Street. And when do we ever ask if we wanted to change Sheffield into the city they're changing it into? I'll just give you one quick last look round Tenter Street. I'm sure you can go on Google Maps and actually go back a number of years and just see how much it's changed down here. So the right hand side where I worked was the edge of the commercial district, and the left hand side was the industrial area. I have full respect for industry because I came out of industry. I had no option but to leave it because of what Thatcher did when she butchered the industry. It needed pruning, but it didn't need butchering. So that's a quick update from Tenter Street in Sheffield.